The second week of quarantine, my therapist asked, "Why are you so interested in Floyd Collins right now?" And I said, how did this all start? There's too many metaphors. I feel I've been in isolation by myself for so long now. It's always been a story that has resonated with me, and Floyd Collins, the musical, is based on a real person named Floyd Collins who got trapped in a cave in 1925 in Cave City, Kentucky. A rock fell on his foot in a very tight passageway and he was trapped for 18 days and ended up dying there. Why Adam Guettel and Tina Landau wrote the musical was because of what happened above ground. It was the invention of the media circus. The original title of the Floyd Collins musical was Death Carnival.
Beneath this sinister mountain, a man is buried alive, trapped by a cave-in.
It became so much about this event happening and not about the man trapped underneath the ground. I was fortunate enough to do it in college, directed by my friend and collaborator Austin Reagan. I did not know it. He just said, "I'm doing Floyd Collins next year and you're gonna be Floyd, so work on it." And I did. Thanks, Kathy Rand. Shout out to Kathy Rand. And I just fell in love with the music and the character itself, but this portion of the show became sort of an obsession. I had a vocal hemorrhage a couple years ago, and I've been taking my voice very seriously ever since then, and really trying to plan homework for myself to do. So, you know that feeling when you're quarantined? Immediately became my shower workout, was to see, okay, can I still sing all the way through this 3-part aria? And then as I started to do the octet video and the Heart and Music video for the Spotlight Awards, I started realizing that I was having a lot of fun doing exactly what I wanted to do. How people responded to me doing something that I love, I thought, okay, well, maybe there's a reason I'm so obsessed with this moment of a musical right now. I immediately thought of my friend Andy Einhorn. We did the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee together at Philadelphia Theater Company and Paper Mill Playhouse, and he had just finished working on Sondheim on Sondheim on Broadway, and if anybody knows me, you know that I am a very big Sondheim nerd. Cut to the Sondheim hallway, and we would spend our lunch hours doing Franklin Shepherd Inc. and the most challenging songs you could think of for both of us, because we both enjoy testing the limits of our musical theater strength. So this music is so challenging. I mean, it's hard for the vocalist, but it's an insane piano part. And I'd already talked to my friend Joel Waggoner, famous for being himself and for Advent Calendar, which is the best handle on Instagram.
You deserve a nap for that, baby. You deserve a nap, you deserve a nap. You deserve a nap for that, darling. You deserve a nap for that.
He said, I wouldn't dare play that piano part, but I'll play fiddle for you, which I was like, that's great. So when I talked to Andy, I told him my original idea, which was to sort of like my Heart and Music video, having multiple boxes, doing the echoes live in those boxes, but then if I could make the boxes there into the cave and go through those little boxes. But I was like, that's not it yet, that's not it yet. I was lucky enough for Andy to say yes, because he's been busy working with Audra McDonald. Cut to,
I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on, give me an old trombone, give me an old baton, before the parade.
So I was very thankful that he wanted to help me with this. We went for a walk and I was having a lot of doubts. I was trying to think of all the different ways that one could crawl through a cave, and at one point I had the idea of like an old-fashioned drop that keeps going, and that I'm like, you know, digging on the sides, that I'd have rollers on the side. I had lots of different ideas for how this would happen, and I said, you know, I might just buy a nice microphone and just like do it like it's a studio recording, you know. And he was like, oh, well, you might as well just do How Glory Goes. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, I wanted to help you because it sounded like you were gonna try to do something theatrical. And I was like, oh, he's right, the motherfucker's right, he's right. So I went home and I thought, okay, what's the most theatrical thing I can do? And I looked around my big empty apartment and I saw a big box of boxes by the door. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna make the cave. I knew immediately. I was like, that's the answer, but oh no, this is gonna be crazy. And it was. It really was. I started planning immediately. I did a dry run to figure out where the cave would go, just with a selfie stick and crawling around on my apartment floor to see how long I needed to make the cave in order to sustain 7 minutes of crawling and singing. And really what I did in that first dry run is almost exactly the path that I ended up using for the cave. There are 20 different pieces, I think, that were built, not including this cave, to create the crawl cave, the Act 1 cave. But what was wonderful about creating them was that I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know. I didn't take physics. I don't know how to make things stand up. I'm not an engineer or construction worker. I don't even know if those jobs do those things. But you learn. All I had to do was make sure to rip the next piece of tape and find the next piece of cardboard. But it became a game and a puzzle to figure out, okay, if I build this here, can I store it here, and then I'll move it out of here and then put it up before I can put them all together. There's so many metaphors wrapped up in the cardboard itself being boxes. You know, a friend of mine who sort of saw an early version of the cave, you know, the cave said, oh, are you gonna paint it? And I was like, no. And I realized my reaction was so adverse, because to me that's the whole point, is that I want you to see the Amazon logos and the address parts and tape and all of these things. I'm in my apartment, that's my rug, you know what I mean? But to me, that's why it's theatrical, because we can't have theater. I've been obsessed with the things I watch on film or television, say what makes that theatrical? That feels theatrical to me, why? It's believing in something wholeheartedly when you know it's made up. And as I decided, as the cave would go along, that you would see less and less labels, that you would see less and less logos, that you would hopefully forget that you are in a world of cardboard and boxes of literal make-believe, you know what I mean? And coming into this room where there are no labels, everything is the inside of these boxes, so that hopefully you get sort of swept away in that feeling. My friend Joel Waggoner, and collaborator on this project, said that I should do a behind the scenes of what the fuck is happening here. And for somebody who is already feeling a bit trapped themselves, hangnails, so much Gorilla Tape on the back of my teeth, nerve endings exposed, so now I've started to rip with this side of the finger to give my thumb a break. It got a little boxed. It got a little hard. I think I might finish it. Today is the show. So, filming, the first part, this is the part I was dreading. I have to make my coffee. It was very difficult. The gimbal is not my friend. I thought I would get it done in one take. Hubris! They'll be tearing up the mountain. It didn't go as I planned. I was having so much trouble with it that I attached the light to this part of it instead of my phone. Gonna try again tomorrow, which... And this time is fine. And I started playing with the old selfie stick. At least I can control this. It might not be as smooth, but at least I know where the Blair Witch Project cinematography, I just wanted it to feel. We'll try again tomorrow. Okay, it's day 2 of having full cave up. I'm on my way to get coffee, and I was really annoyed, but man, look how pretty that is. It's not going much better today.
Or her wonders. They'll be tearing up the mountain.
The yodel chamber, and I looked over, and the camera was pointing like this.
You got your squeezes and bends.
I'm taking a break, and then I'll get back to it.
Glory! Ooh-wee!
The gimbal died.
Come in clear. Oh, God.
I was almost to the yodel cannon.
What?
And it just died. In the yodel cannon, I thought I rushed it. I think in the end it probably took 20 takes. But then when I started doubling it, it of course didn't line up, so it felt so constricted. It felt so... Gotta do it again.
Underground. This cabin's gonna be the biggest.
It was so hard to get to the refrigerator. To get to the front door, my knees hurt so bad. When I realized that after editing that I did get the shot, I was very happy. Okay, so it's done. And very sad. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of it just because I love the piece, but this is from my dad, and it feels really good to be proud of it. So, destroying myself by creating the sign, you know, that says this is where he will die. There's something about that became really powerful to move right past it. Saying not now, you know. So, but there is something that feels, whew.
Oh, Miss Jane.
I started understanding why in particular I was so obsessed with this portion of the show. Because if you know anything about the show or the person, you know it's that he gets trapped and he dies. And that was exactly the part that I wasn't focusing on. I started thinking about, you know, God bless my therapist during this time. Shout out to mental health. But he sort of made me understand that this has so much to do with my struggle with my father's early onset Alzheimer's and his so filming It Moves Time to Go was a lot more fun. So you can make that super slow because it got it. I got to work with my friends Austin Reagan and Kendall Hartsey, who are married in real life, power Broadway, amazing couple. Austin is an incredible director and Kendall is an incredible actress, and she also played Nellie in Floyd Collins when we did it in college. I knew that they knew the material so well that they'd understand why I'm crying in a pile of cardboard. I wouldn't feel ashamed for finding so much joy in this music and in this moment and in this story. I had an idea of what I wanted. Gosh, it turned into such a wonderful collaboration. I mean, there's nothing like working with people in the room. Fuck. The idea, you know, of even the camera for me in part 2 is that the camera is his glory, and that they're meeting in this room for the first time, that it is his shadows, it is his echoes, it is all the things that are layering onto these walls for the very first time. It just felt, it was such a beautiful experience for me in the room and just taking in and really giving into the experience of being in a cave. Austin and Kendall did such a good job of making it feel so big. I wanted it to feel so expansive. And so I love, you know, this sort of swirling motion constantly around Floyd that just feels like it's just this spirit just being like, hey, hello, so nice to meet you. You know, and even when I told him to do it, when we were filming, I just burst into tears. I don't know why. Well, I guess I know why, but it's just, it was so hard to say, you have to stay here, you know, and even back up as I leave, let me go. I was overwhelmed with this idea that if he didn't go in, that if he didn't rip the paper, that he could leave, that, you know, like death wouldn't catch him, you know. But how are you supposed to resist that gold on the other side? No matter what, you can't sacrifice glory because you're scared of death.
I'm a minister. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a social worker. But I tend, when I get behind something like this, I tend to preach. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to preach.
He was diagnosed about 5 years ago, and he's just now entered stage 5 of 5.
I'm usually in a church preaching. I always have a scripture to work from, a text. And I felt I wouldn't be comfortable if I didn't have a text to work from. So I pulled out a piece of what I'll call Southern biblical literature.
And all I really know how to do is sing and make art and make metaphors. So I decided that this would be for him. I want to focus on the part of a human that is glorious, and to not let people be defined by the tragedy that ends their life. So that's why I'm doing these 3 songs. I want. And that's what Adam Gettle did for Floyd Collins as well with these 3 songs, is he gave him his glory. He gave him his glory before he... I used to think everything happens for a reason. With every rip of tape, knowing it was for him, I've never made such purposeful art in my life.
If I was in my usual venue, if I was in a pulpit like I usually am, this would be the time for the call, the invitation. This is like the time in the show when Jim and Tammy start to cry.